I'm Jeff Fritz with SoundStage.com, and I'm joined today by Ricky Miranda. He is the marketing manager for Rotel. Ricky, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good, and I really appreciate you joining me today. And I want to kind of fill everybody in, all the SoundStage YouTube viewers and those that read SoundStage, of kind of why we're here and why I asked you to join me for an interview today. So, we're going to talk a little bit about SoundStage Ultra, and one of the features on SoundStage Ultra, for those folks that have not visited the website, we have a reference systems tab up in the menu system, and you click that, and it takes you to what will be populated by multiple reference systems that I use, that our staff uses for product reviews, etc. And so right now, if you click that tab, my main reference system is available with descriptions of the sound, lots and lots of photos, that sort of thing. But I'm also going to be adding relatively soon the compact reference system. And just as the name describes, it's going to be a little bit smaller in scale, but no less impressive in terms of sound quality and the overall quality of the components. And so for those of you that have read SoundStage Ultra for a while, you probably know that I own a pair of Sonus Faber Maxima Amator speakers I absolutely adore. And I've been considering what am I going to power those loudspeakers with. So the rest of the backstory is about 3 weeks ago, I put out a poll on LinkedIn just to see, what the ideas were. I had a budget, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, right in that range. What would be a good match for the Sonus Faber Maxima Amators? I got some great suggestions, lots of brands, some really good comments on the post, a lot of private messages, some really good alternatives, but the one that was probably the most popular and kind of stuck out to me was the Rotel Michi X-5. And one of the reasons is because it's no secret that Sonus Faber and Rotel, share some synergy, and some folks had actually heard that combination and really, really recommended it. So that is the amplifier that I'm choosing for the compact reference system. You heard it here first, of course. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit because you've got experience with this product. So I want to hear from you why you think the Rotel Michi X-5 is a good pairing for the Sonus Faber Maxima Amator loudspeakers.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I love the Michi stuff. It's really, really wonderful pieces of equipment. The X5 in particular is just a powerhouse. It's got more power, more dynamic range available, more headroom than anything else that you're going to get for the money, especially for the money. You're looking at $7,500 for a 600 watt per channel at 4 ohms integrated amplifier with every input you could possibly want. You've got moving magnet and moving coil phono stage on board, and they're really good. You've got all of the digital inputs you're going to possibly need. And on top of that, to match the beauty of the Amator as well, you've got the really nice, beautiful gloss black glass front, 2 knobs to do everything you're going to want. And then the remote is something we get a lot of attention about as well. It's a really kind of a piece of art itself, very minimal to match the minimal design of the unit, but everything that you possibly need. I have an X3 at home personally and use it with a pair of Sonus Faber Olympica 1s. I absolutely love that combo. When I was at the Sonus Faber factory a few months ago, in one of their demo rooms, they have a full Michi separate setup, and they use that to test speakers when they're building and designing and tuning things. So it's, as you mentioned, the synergy. They just go really, really well together. They're both highly engineered, beautiful pieces of equipment, and they're actually designed a little bit in concert with each other, or at least in consideration with each other, as we move forward with newer Sonus Faber speakers.
Well, that helps a lot, and I was at Sonus Faber as well back in July, and I saw the Michi gear while I was there, and so certainly it was on my radar, as far back as July, and just so people understand as well, and I'll put the link in the description. Roger Cano, one of our SoundStage Hi-Fi reviewers, reviewed the X5, and we did a full suite of measurements. Diego Eston is our measurements lab specialist. We did a full set of measurements, and that was about, I think that was August of 2021 when the review and the measurements came out. So that link will be in the description so you guys can read that. But a little bit more about the X5. So, when I was thinking about the term compact reference, and I was thinking about choosing the Michi X5, compact and X5, they don't really go together
No, not at all.
because the X5 is a 95-pound, 96-pound integrated amplifier. But in my way of thinking, it's not about the size of the box; it's about the number of the boxes, right? The footprint's going to be,
Yeah.
roughly the same, even if it's a smaller integrated amplifier. But talk a little bit about everything that's packed in there, and I'm really curious about the digital section. I remember from Roger's review, there's an AKM DAC chip in there, and there's tons of inputs. And so talk a little bit about just kind of everything that's packed into the X5.
Yeah, definitely. And funny, you got to the weight before I did. It is not a compact integrated. It is actually slightly larger than a normal. They're 19 inches wide as opposed to the traditional 17. And that is to accommodate the very, very large passive heat sinks on the side that double as a decorative piece, but they are functional. And what that allows us to do is by putting those outside of traditional size chassis, we're able to fit more things inside, right? So you mentioned the digital section. We've got a really nice AKM DAC in there that'll do all the way, anything that you want to throw at it, it will do. MQA Studio, it is Roon ready. So if you go through the PC USB out into your computer or your streaming device, you're able to get access to anything that you want to throw at it. We have 3 optical and 3 coaxial digitals as well. So really anything. RS-232 for control, as well as a Cat5 port for network control and updates. The connectivity on it is pretty robust. You also have XLR ins and outs, so you can go fully balanced if you have outboard balance equipment. You can go all the way through, balanced through the whole system. So really well appointed, very robustly constructed. If you take a look at any of the internal gut shots of any Rotel product, but especially the Michi stuff, you notice how much attention is put into parts layout. And that really comes from us building amplifiers for 62 years, really 66, 67, if you include our years as a white label manufacturer before we became Rotel officially. And so like I said, everything in there is very well thought out and well selected parts wise.
So explain a little bit, Rotel, obviously, like you just mentioned, and I'm glad you did, it has a very robust name. It's been around forever. You guys have been building amplifiers forever. The Michi line has not been around for 66 years, however, as far as I know. So explain, just for those that don't know, what the difference is between a regular Rotel component and a Rotel Michi component.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really cool story. So around the early 90s, we got to a point where we were really well known for building workhorse equipment. If we build an amplifier, it's going to work, it's going to sound great, it's going to last forever. But it's not fancy. There's no bells and whistles. We're not chasing the newest features. We're just building things that are really solid and really reliable. But we got to a point where we figured we can actually do more. We can go fancy. We can use stained woods on our chassis. We can use brushed aluminum. We can do all sorts of crazy things that we weren't really focusing on under the Rotel banner. And that became Michi. Michi translates roughly to the path forward. And Michi was our path forward in the hi-fi, showing that we don't have to just build workhorses. We don't have to just build boxes that do a job. But we can build things that are nice to look at as well. After a few years, that line, which consisted of, I think, at total 6 different models, just folded into the Rotel line in general. All of the technology, all of the increases in capabilities that we had in learning into making this premium product just folded into the Rotel line. When it came to round about our 55th year, we knew that we were really stepping up again. We had fallen into that workhorse mentality. We wanted to show that we were capable of doing something truly world-class, something that people would be talking about. And so that's where the new Michi line came from. And we decided that at that point, it would not be a temporary line just to show what we could do, but it would be a permanent line that would increase in number of models. Currently, we're at 5. I think it's safe to say we have some more stuff coming. in the line. I
Okay.
can't talk about what it is, but there is some more stuff coming, and it's really exciting.
Okay. No, that's great. And you know, I do like the fact that you pointed out that, you know, typical Rotel equipment is really nice, but it's not the fanciest stuff
Yeah,
available, right? And which would be expected at the price points that, you know, most Rotel gear, you know, is slotted into. But the Michi gear is a little bit different. And you know, I want to tell this story real quick. When we had the review sample in Canada, Roger Cano did the review, shipped it off to Doug Schneider, who took photographs and then passed it off to Diego for measurements. And I
hmm
remember the conversation with Doug back then, back in 2021, and he called me and he said, you know, and for those of you that don't know, Doug Schneider is the publisher of SoundStage, publisher and founder. He said, Jeff, he said, you've never seen anything like this at the price. He said it's unbelievable what they've been able to make at this price point. And he was just absolutely blown away at the build quality and just the overall
yeah,
design and the look of this thing for what you guys are charging for it. And so, you know, I do think that, you know, when you see these things in person, and like I said, I saw some of them in July, it's a different, you know, it's a different overall presentation, maybe is the best word, than what you
yeah.
get from normal Rotel gear.
Definitely, definitely. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we are, and as you mentioned, for the price. That qualifier is thrown around a lot in our industry. I do want to really call out that the Michi gear is just good. It's good in general, despite the price. The prices are really great, you know, cherry on top of the sundae there. But part of how we're able to do something that good for that price is that we are a family owned and family run company, always have been since the very start. We're now run by the third generation. Peter Cow goes down to the factory on a very regular basis. He knows the people that pack them into the boxes. He knows the people that are doing the wiring. You know, we're really, really involved with the process. And part of doing it for so long and so consistently is that you just know how to do it faster and better and less expensive than everybody else. We own our own facility. We built our own factory in Zhuhai, China 20 years ago. We've been building there ever since. We employ the best people to do the job in the most efficient way. And it really shows when you take a look at one of these Michi products. If you take a look inside, especially as I mentioned, they're just absolutely gorgeous. I'm an engineering nerd. I'm a factory nerd. So when I see a beautiful circuit board layout, it really gets me going. And the Michi stuff is quite pretty inside. On top of the beautiful sound and the beautiful outward appearance, it's just through and through well thought out.
Well, you've definitely, like I said, you've sold me for sure, and I'm very, very anxious. And just so that everyone knows, I'm actually going to be meeting Ricky at Audio Advice in Raleigh, North Carolina, to pick up my personal X5 and then drive it back down to the coast. And I'll be setting up the compact reference system shortly with the Sonus Faber Maxima Amators. Certainly, will report back on what I hear through that combination on SoundStage Ultra. And and yeah, you know, Ricky, I really look forward to seeing you. I look forward to
Yeah,
seeing the X5 in person. And really, thank you for joining me today and, you know, explaining why you think. And I remember on that LinkedIn post, you were one of the first ones to chime in that you know, that the Michi gear was what was perfect for the Sonus Faber. So we're going to see about that shortly. But thank you so much for joining
definitely.
me. Anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap up?
I was just going to say I'm excited to help you carry it out to the car because you're not going to be able to do it by yourself.
I'll definitely take you up on that. All right, Ricky, thanks so much. I really appreciate your time, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.